It's me, Sonny. Welcome back to another video. Today we are back having a look at 360 Chicken. Today's video, just a quick one basically. I wanted to do a quick showcase of the new level editor that I've been working on for 360 Chicken. I've not included all of the new blocks that I wanted to add to the game. This is just the basic stuff that you've already seen before, with a little bit of improvements to some of them, just improved versions of them as well. So there we go. Ignore any sort of noise in the background. My laptop's doing some updates, so you can probably hear the fan slightly, just slightly. But anyways, so here we are in the usual VTube studio. Yeah, I completely forgot in the last video that actually I had already named it the Tinyverse Studio. So there we go, that's what it is from now on, which works perfectly fine for my kind of systems anyway. But there we go. I wanted to show you some of 360 Chicken, so let's have a look at 360 Chicken. Right, so there we go. We'll switch to this view, not that view, and pop it open. Hey, so there we go. Here we are in 360 Chicken level editor. Brilliant thing here, and it's we don't need that menu. It's just my aim with this was to basically try and get a Unity-like experience out of the movement system and the camera and all of that, but with some really cool additions as well. So for example, here we go. We've got the regular camera movement system. You just right click and rotate your camera. You can select objects as you do. W key and R as usual. You can use these keys here, buttons at the top corner, or you can just use the actual keys on the keyboard. But there we go, and that allows you to have the gizmos. You can press F on your keyboard, which I need a button for that on the actual screen as well, to jump to the object that you currently have selected, and it considers the scale of that object as well and the shape of it, right? So it actually jumps to, for example, this. It'll match the scale of that object and zoom you accordingly. With these guys, you can actually see you can orbit around them while they're moving. A little bit of work left to do, but there we go. And you can see that the menu on the right hand side here, the inspector, is actually not fully functional. It doesn't have the things that I need to actually add into the inspector so that you can actually set settings, which unfortunately means that if you have something like a text object, you can't actually set the text currently, but I'm going to finish that off very, very soon. But beyond that, the level editor itself is excellent. It's fully functional now. So here we go. We can also zoom using the actual Alt and Shift, Alt and right click, and Alt with just left click is rotate around your object. So it's all very Unity-like interface. It just works exactly like you would expect. But I do have some extra tools. Let's have a look firstly at some of the basic tools for spawning in things. So obviously we can actually move things around using the gizmos here, and you can see that we've got the diagonal gizmos as well. So we have the left and right here on the red axis, the blue axis for forward and back, the green axis up and down, but we also have these multi-axis ones, right? So this corner one here is the flat plane, and then this one here is the vertical and back and forward, and then the other one is the vertical and left and right. But what I also have is a placer tool, right? So you've got the usual tools. You've got rotation, all of the usual stuff. I actually have a little bit of axis problems here to get the rotation that you move your mouse to be correct, but there we go. You can press the reset button here at the top as well, and that lets you reset to the 0 value. So it's not like it's going to reset to what it was, it resets to 0, right? So there we go, that resets to 0, and that's only for the gizmo you've selected. So if you use position, it'll reset to the center of the world. If you use rotation, it'll reset the orientation of the object. So even if you had a weird rotation, it'll reset to 0, which is great, very, very useful, just to work with it as quickly as possible. And then you've got the scale. You can, from the center, scale it all up uniformly. But then beyond that, you can scale each axis individually. And again, it's a little bit difficult because the mouse is a little bit confused a lot of the time. If you reset that and then drop it down, there we go, we've got the one that we had. Now, here's the placer tool. So the placer tool actually is positioned where the mouse is. So you can actually place the object wherever you want it, right? Very, very useful. And what makes this extra useful is when you have something like, let's say you've got a mine that you've set some settings on it and you want to duplicate the mine. When you do use Control D, you actually duplicate that. But you now have a duplicate that's actually moved out of position and you kind of want to align it to maybe something, maybe you want to place it on a curve, right? So let's have a look at doing that. You can use the placer tool there to just sort of position it where you want, duplicate it and position the new one where you want it as well, right? So that allows you to just place objects as you want in the world based on the actual geometry of the world. Super duper useful when you've got stuff like this, right? So let's do some spawning, and you can see here I'm using the same gizmo for the spawning of the objects. You've got a menu that is just loaded from all of the objects that you have available. You can do that with the traps as well, and with the small random objects, and then you've got text as well. But let's click on this quarter pipe over here, and you can see it faces away from the camera. So if I used a block, for example, it'll place there and it'll face, it's not very easy to see because I haven't got colors in yet, but you can see that it actually rotates that way. Whereas if I now look diagonally and place a block, you can see it's now placed it diagonally. You can use the delete key to delete them, of course. But let's just have a look at what we were talking about there. If I recenter the orientation of that object, so now we can place mines. Now the actual spawning uses the placer as well. So if I click, you can see the mines are automatically placed like that. But if you were just placing objects and you had them rotated in a way that you wanted them rotated, so for example facing that way, then when you duplicate the object, now if you place it on here, it'll keep its direction, its facing direction, and rotate so that the surface is flattened. So that way, now it'll still face upwards, but it'll be pointing outwards. So there we go, the actual surface of the object will be pointing outwards, which is very, very useful. It does sometimes get stuck inside because there is a little bit of grid clamping, as you can see here. It's not perfectly smooth. I might add a little magnet key to switch that on and off, snapping on and off. And of course here, if we duplicate it again, we can do exactly that and go up the loop. There we go. Very, very useful. So if we were to just spawn the player there, and you can just spawn at any time, the game is just constantly playable. You can see we've got a turkey chicken today for fun. And there we go, right? Brilliant. So now you can actually launch off the thing that we've just placed. You had a lot of speed there, so it got launched off pretty far and broke into pieces. But there we go. And you can see the mines. New effects on the mines as well. Boom. So some new effects on the mines, and I do have some new moves going on. Very, very simple additions that we've got. One of them is the ability to power slide. So let's have a look at the ability to power slide. This is excellent. I love this. Why is the mouse on screen? So there we go. You actually, when you turn, you can see this is the friction of the turning, right? But when you hold the shift key, you can actually change the friction of the sideway friction, and you get this power sliding mechanic as a result. So it looks really cool when you know how to control it quite well, especially if you're going quite fast towards a ramp. So let's have a look at that. Here we go. We just go up here and you can see power sliding. Very, very cool. I love it. But you can also use that to very quickly turn the chicken while he's moving. So there we go. I can do a full 180, turn him around, and then while he's doing that, I can turn him fully 180 while he's doing that. There we go. Beautiful. Absolutely excellent. And then once you've done that, you can of course use the final move, which is launching the chicken off. So this is going to be the skateboards followed us. It's going to be really useful when it comes to other types of levels, where it's not just a racetrack level, it's more a sort of stunt track or some form of get to the next checkpoint type thing. Because, so here we go, like this checkpoint here, when I press return, it'll now return to that checkpoint, right? So we'll respawn at the checkpoint. So if I now reset over here, so this will reactivate the original checkpoint. Now we'll restart the whole level. But what you can do is you can actually launch off and hit the checkpoint with the chicken. So now just the ejected chicken can actually hit the checkpoint you press enter, and now you've spawned on the checkpoint. It'll make it really useful to make custom sort of puzzle maps on how to get places and stuff like that. Really fun tracks should be possible with this type of technique. Now, I've made a few changes to some of the tools, some of the traps, for example. These guys are a little bit unfinished, as you could already see. Like when I click on them, they also select where they currently are. They do a trace downwards to determine where they're going to hit, but it's not fully finished. So they do technically work, but not exactly perfectly. You can actually rotate them and they'll hold their orientation as well. These things are bumpers, and you can place them wherever you want them to start from, but unfortunately you can't switch the direction yet. So right now they always fling off in one direction. So this is the default direction, and then they go 90 degrees to the right or clockwise. But you can flip them upside down, and then technically they'll rotate the other way, but that's not exactly very useful. We've got the piranha cannon still working as it was, although there's a few changes just to make it respawnable, which is super duper useful. But beyond that, we have the barrel cannon, which is now directly based on what it's facing. So if I was to place one over here, you can rotate it, determine where you want to shoot, and now it's firing barrels in that direction, which is really cool, because if you use the tilt there, you can actually shoot barrels in like diagonally. There we go. Really cool, right? So I love doing this kind of stuff. We do have some additional objects here, like a traffic cone, and I've got these sort of random bouncy ball type objects. So there we go. We've got these, and I don't have object skinning currently, so you can't change the look of these objects yet, but they are placeable. And oh yeah, I forgot, those are very heavy, so the chicken's neck is not so easily hitting that, but these are light ones. So there we go. You've got the light objects and you've got the heavy ones, which just knock your head off, unless of course you're sort of controlling yourself. So there we go. Control yourself nice and slowly. There we go. You can push these about, and then they also get pushed by the boosts, and you can see that got launched upwards, which is great. So there we go. But here's the cool stuff. So I did add back in the ability to actually spawn the grav zones as well. So here we go. Let's remove these for a moment. We can keep one, that's fine. But what we want to do, we'll take these mines out. They're not really needed anymore. And we can use a new custom trap, which it's not really that new. It's something that I had before. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Place it there. I wanted to reset the rotation. There we go. Right, so we go this way. A full this way, please. Did I click on the gizmo? I do need some feedback for the gizmos as well. I need to make them visible to the player as to when they're actually pressing on them. So there we go. This is a grav zone. And then what we can do is actually we can rotate that all the way. Let's go this way. Right, so we've now got a grav zone like that. We can always make it one size bigger. And now, if we just duplicate this, we can flip that. Oop, the other way. Probably too much there. There we go. And we'll just place that here. maybe a little higher up. There we go. And then place this. Nice and comfortable right there on the edge, right? So these are grav zones, meaning I can actually now drive on them, and this is something I've shown in the past already. Oh, I missed the boost, but there we go. And now they just act as gravity, right? So that's the gravity is now sideways, and that means if I just make sure that I don't drop off here, there we go. Now we're driving upside down. You can still hop a little bit, although the game's camera does try to reorient itself once you jump, but there we go. This is completely upside down. It all works as it is, and there we go. You can do that, and then you can place your traps on there as well, right? So there we go. We'll make one of these a little bit bigger, and we'll spawn one, and then place it here, and we can place the traps. We can duplicate this, move it along, and we can even place physics objects on there as well. So there we go. We can just place physics objects. Let's place some cones going this way. Nice and easy. and there we go, right? So here we've got the ability to just go upside down, and now our physics objects are sitting on the wall, on the ceiling, or whatever, right? We also have these, the traps are there, the physics objects will fall once they lose the grav zones. There we go. It's brilliant. I absolutely love doing this. And of course, here we go. If we drive off the edge, whoop, there we go. Now we need to flip back round and lose a side of our body, and there you go. You can see everything's upside down up there on the grav zone. Really cool. And then what we can do is we can just bring that back. Oop, maybe not that. We can use the loop-de-loop on there, which, oh, it's not high enough. Let's get a little higher up. No, we don't need to. You know what? That's fine. We'll remove all of that. We'll leave that, and we can actually use some of the parts that I was showcasing earlier as well. So if we want to, for example, use a loop-de-loop, we can do that. We can just throw that there, and you can see it's brilliant loop-de-loop. And those can just come off the end of any grav zone. So if we had, for example, a grav zone which was, where's the gizmo? There we go. Which was just coming up here, and I don't want to use the placer because it'll rotate. And we just do this, make it nice and big, and then off the top of the grab zone, we can just spawn this thing. There we go, and now it's just coming straight off the grab zone, right? Which is it's in a very unfortunate position actually, but there we go. Is it placed flat? Or was that correct? I believe that was actually correct. So this is in a little bit of an unfortunate position. We'll just move that out. And now you can see on the grav zone, we can just go straight into a loop. So there we go. Whoop. I lost the top of his head. Right, there we go. Straight into a loop. And we're now looping from the grav zones. Absolutely brilliant. I love doing this. This is a lot of fun, this game. And there we go. Just launch the chicken right off, and he's hopefully not going to split into pieces. Ooh, he lost his head. Ooh, he lost his head. But there we go. Absolutely brilliant. And then, of course, what we can also do is we can place these. We can place the checkpoint in the grav zone, which I should probably place it a little bit higher up. We can place the checkpoint in the grav zone and whoop, jump into there, activate the checkpoint, and there we go. We can start from the checkpoint immediately in the grav zone. It's brilliant. I'm absolutely loving this. This is what the level editor is going to be like. And then what you can do is you can just make crazy tracks. This stuff is all going to be usable, uploadable to the Steam Workshop. Hopefully, that's what I'm planning. And this will be available from the first version of the early access. So it's all available immediately upon early access release. And this is the first version. Now, the aim after this is to get multiplayer in there. And that would be multiplayer both for the non-collide version of multiplayer, so it's just each player is existing in the world, but each one has their own little instance of the world. And then the alternative version being actually like GTA 5 style, collidable characters that can crash into each other and trap each other, right? So I'll be adding weapons and stuff like that to the actual game, so that the characters can actually interface and interplay with all of the other characters that are playing. Everyone can have their custom chickens, which I will show the customizer in the follow-up videos soon. The new customizations, there'll be plenty of hats and different boards, and you can see here I'm using a purple board. The wheels can all be customized, everything can be customized, and later down the line I do also have a plan for a completely separate mode with a different character model and a different vehicle, and that will be a completely separate mode, but you'll have to wait and see what that is actually like. For now, this is what it is, and it's incredibly fun. I've got plenty of block types coming very, very soon as well, which I'm not showing in this video, but there are going to be plenty of block types. I think I might have to actually reorder the categories here so that it's a little bit easier to actually work with. But beyond that, this is how it is. So here we go, you can just plonk one of those there, just drive and straight up the loop. Oh, it's so fun, it's so ridiculous. There we go, straight into here, and let's just drive straight up the half pipe, the ramp, the curve, whatever it is. We'll try and get, oops, hitting the microphone there, try and get on top of the loop. Hey, we're on top of the loop. Brilliant, utterly brilliant. One flip, some skills. Yep, so I am using the same key for the skills as I am for the power sliding as well. So there, you have to have a little bit more skill in handling that, where you can actually rotate the character like so, oop, and fail, or you can rotate the board. So there we go. Woo! And then try and land him correctly. You have a lot of controls. Again, you'll be able to reset the controls and everything as well. A lot of the settings menus and everything are completely available. You'll be able to set the graphics settings and everything as you need. The game is very, very well stabilized now. It's all very, very functional, and everything works from the level editor. You will be able to actually save and load locally as well. And then the aim is to, when you've completed your tracks, make sure they're playable and get them up on the Steam Workshop so that you can have leaderboards for those levels, and then we can get into multiplayer someday soon with an update. So I'm very much looking forward to getting this game out of here and to a release, but we're just going to have to wait and see until that is viable. So yeah, thanks very much for having a look at this quick peek at the level editor for 360 Chicken. There is going to be so much more coming once you get to see all the custom versions of those blocks. There's going to be themed blocks and customizations for your chicken and all of that cool stuff. Multiplayer is going to be excellent in this game, I hope. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you in the next video, and hopefully that will be right prior to release. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.